everyone relax. This is TOFOP. I'm Charlie Clausen.
I'm Will Anderson. Hello and thank you for watching.
What a brisk day it's been. We've recorded 3 episodes of this bulk record, but we're at what is normally my favourite episode because it sort of requires less effort on our part, and that is the letters episode.
The letters episode.
Letters. We get letters. We get lots and lots of letters. Letters. Thank you to everyone.
It's not being used anymore. I feel like we can, and as long as we sing it,
yes,
we don't owe any royalties or trademarks, right? It's like it's a tribute.
And
or
I think we're so out of tune. Like, how would you?
Yeah,
if we went to
wouldn't
court,
even recognize it. If
don't
they
you
ran
have
it
to-
through AI,
That's
they
right.
wouldn't know that it was.
because that's what they do in like copyright cases with songs, don't they? Say it's like
They get people in
it's-
together. You'd be like, "That's not even."
yeah, it
I don't
doesn't-
think that's actually.
What are they even doing? Are they even?
Nah.
They can't even
I think
pronounce
they're
the word
I
properly.
think they're singing about lettuce.
yeah, lettuce.
Yeah.
Mumbling lettuce
They're
into a
saying they
microphone.
get lots of lettuce.
No, it's the letters episode, Will, and we appreciate everyone who writes in. We understand it takes us normally like 4 weeks to answer, so you may have to cast your mind back sometime, and we bring up some of these topics. If you want to get in touch with us, you can go to everyonerelax.co. There's a little contact form there, or you just send an email to. I don't even know what our email address is. I don't know. I don't know what our email address is. Email tofop@gmail.com. I remembered. Okay. It's been so long since I've had to put a call out. I forgot what it was.
Okay.
Now,
Is that because we're running out of lettuce?
lettuce?
How much lettuce do we have?
We got a lot of
we got a
lettuce.
lot of
I actually,
lettuce.
Carl,
Okay.
ordinarily I try and give everyone their moment, and I will read at least a portion of an email. But I was going through it on the way here.
Sometimes you got too much lettuce.
We got too much lettuce. It was
Lettuce.
just,
We get
we
lettuce.
get
lettuce.
We
We
get
get
lots and lots of lettuce. Lettuce.
All sorts
What,
of lettuce.
what copyright? We were singing about
Rocket.
lettuce.
Lettuce. Definitely lettuce.
So this relates to a conversation we had actually last year when,
Last
when
year.
we were recording in Melbourne.
2024.
Do you remember we were coming back to the listener studios in South Melbourne, and we
We
came,
do a live show and then we go to South Melbourne.
and we no. This
No.
was during a recording session.
Oh,
it was
this
a Sunday,
Oh.
and we came across it was like an assortment of
Yes.
stuff on the
clues.
ground, clues
On the ground.
There's like underpants, and there was like cigarette. Was there a used condom wrapper or something?
There might have been.
We
I'm-
tried to speculate what
what
happened.
it was, and somebody's put the evidence together.
Not put the evidence together,
Ah.
but has a similar story. This is from
Okay.
Holden
Interesting.
McGroin.
Well done. You know,
Holden's written in a few times. Hey lads, just wanted to share a story that one of your ramblings reminded me of. I used to work at Australia's largest investment bank.
Oh,
Who would that be?
Australia's largest
investment
investment
bank.
bank. Well, I do all my investment banking with Macquarie Bank.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that saying it's Macquarie? Can they sponsor the show? From now on,
Yeah.
it's only
I
people who are
don't-
willing to.
Here's what I will say.
What?
I don't do
Will-
any
Will doesn't do
investing. And I just named the only one that I could think of.
I was part of a small team of 6 male IT geeks tucked
Okay.
away in a restricted access area thanks to the
Oh.
bank's strict Chinese walls policy.
Oh.
What's that mean?
Okay.
What's do you know what that means? Chinese walls? It's not
I mean, it might.
not a racist term.
No,
is it?
I imagine it might be a security thing,
Okay.
maybe to protect,
From the Great Wall of China.
from the
An
spies.
insurmountable barrier, especially in the passage of information.
Is that like the Great Wall of China? Right,
Mm,
Chinese walls
I guess
policy.
so.
Okay. From the lifts, if you were in Department A, you turned left. And if you
Do you reckon when Chinese teenagers are doing pranks, that like it's really disappointing because they're like, "Are there any walls at your house right now?" And they're like,
Yeah, there's actually a huge
it's
one.
actually a huge one. It's
kept the
massive.
Mongols out
You
for
can see it from
centuries.
space, actually.
From the lifts, if you turned left, left, you're in Department A. If you turned right, you're in Department B. And we weren't allowed to mingle
Oh,
or even chat with the people from the other departments. This
was
is-
he in A or B? Does it say?
It doesn't say which
Doesn't
one he was
say.
in.
Okay.
The walkway between us was usually pretty busy, though.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, one day after a long boozy lunch at the pub, that's the guys you want in charge of your securities
Yeah.
at your bank. We came back to find a brightly coloured G-string lying smack bang in the middle of the hallway. Naturally, we placed it somewhere visible in case someone came to claim it, but
Yeah.
no one ever did. From that point on, the rest of my time at the bank, we constantly gossiped and speculated about whose it might have belonged to. It became an enduring office mystery. What do you think happened?
Well, that's like,
it's a highly secure area with cameras everywhere, I would imagine.
mate, this is Tom Cruise's first Mission Impossible movie.
He came down on the things
Like,
and
yeah,
his G-string fell out of his pocket.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's the same thing, right? That one piece of evidence that you've left that you can't go back
Yes,
for. That's
right.
the same scenario, right? They knew that Tom Cruise had been there. They just didn't have any evidence of him.
Have you
like,
seen the
being
new
there.
Mission Impossible film?
I've seen the first half of
Okay,
it.
I've seen the second half.
I haven't seen the second half.
Um,
I saw the first half in anticipation of the second half, and then have heard from everybody I shouldn't have done that because the first half of the second half is the first half.
yes, it's significantly less enjoyable, the second one. Do you know what it's weird about? Well, not weird, I guess, when you consider who
Okay.
Tom Cruise is. It's like a very not a very well disguised like Jesus analogy. I imagine it's almost like whatever Scientology's version of Jesus is. But
Yeah.
basically, Tom Cruise is the Messiah. Like last week when we had,
I think that is Scientology's version of Jesus.
yeah, right, okay. So
You know what I mean? Like, I think part of the DNA of how we know about Scientology has been, we can't like put it any other way. Tom Cruise is the most famous of all Scientologists.
Yeah.
Like, we know this is a thing that has been invented within our lifetimes. L. Ron Hubbard lived in our lifetimes.
Mm.
Like, the people who've run it are the first generation of people who've really run it. It's only been a couple of generations of people, enough that people can be born into it or recruited into it. But like, we've seen it all happen.
Mm.
And the most famous person who has always been committed and emblematic of the brand
Yes.
seems to be Tom Cruise. I
Yes.
think he is the Jesus of Scientology.
And that's how Ethan Hunt is framed in this sequel. When we had Spence on last week, because the plot centers around AI and this, this entity that's got this
yeah.
AI,
So the entity was introduced in the
that's
first
right,
half of the
and it's going to
movie.
take over the whole.
Yeah.
And he is kind of the amount of scenes where he is kind of spoken about, like Ethan Hunt, as being like the only
Yeah.
human, like who can possibly stop this, the most trustworthy. If you had to put the power of this entity in one person's hands, like you wouldn't trust any politician, but you'd trust Ethan Hunt. And there's all these like shots of Tom Cruise like walking in slow motion over the mountaintops. There's like a voiceover will be like, "He's the bravest, he's the strongest, he's the like."
Jesus.
It's really on the nose, and I don't.
Don't you reckon he's Jesus?
I don't remember
But better.
the other.
Because he does his own stunts.
Yeah. I don't remember the other films being quite that heavy-handed. And it's so, the other thing about it too is it's so earnest. Like these are goofy films about people who wear rubber masks and, pull off these giant, espionage setups. But this film, like, they take it so seriously. Like everyone is so po-faced and taking it so seriously. The whole film I was like, it feels like Tom Cruise is like, oh, I'm aging out of being able to do this. He's
Yeah.
60-something now.
That's right.
So the last one I'm going to do, I'll hang off an aeroplane or whatever you want, but also I want to come out of this being Jesus.
Yeah. Well, I just think it's the natural conclusion of the story arc
Yeah.
is that he's Jesus. No woman can tie him down. He's bloody Jesus.
It feels-
He's just out there doing his own stunts, saving the world. You know what he's saving? Cinema.
Yes.
He's cinema Jesus.
Yeah.
He's Scientology Jesus.
Yeah.
He had his doubters. He jumped on the couch. People got weird about him for a while, but he won us back
He's
through
yeah.
a series of box office miracles.
And that's what it feels like is that he is attempting to he did a really good rehabilitation of his image through the last kind of like five
and by
Mission
making us
Impossible
forget that he
films.
was a Scientologist for a
Yes,
while.
but now it
But
feels
now
like
he's like, I got
let-
you again.
He's let his
and I'm
freak
still
fly. I'm still a
Scientologist.
Scientologist. And I'm a very, I mean,
Yeah.
when you look at me
Yeah.
with it being 62, my hair's still brown and my skin's still tight, like, I'm weird, right?
Yeah.
I'm a little weirdo. I'm a little muscular little
So I can let
weirdo
my
who likes to
freak
hang off airplanes.
flag fly,
It's so freaky.
right?
The whole time. I even think I
Just
mentioned this
be-
with the last
I
film.
like it.
Is when he's like, flying on a
Yeah.
plane, you can really see all the surgery that's
Yeah.
been done. When his face is getting blown by wind, like you can sort of say, oh, they've tucked the skin on his face back here, and there's like a little joint mark there. It's not, I wouldn't say he's a vain actor, because you watch this and he's putting himself in, he's making himself
agree.
look so weird.
Yeah.
But
But he's doing it on behalf of a higher cause.
that's right.
And that higher cause is like maybe in his personal life Scientology, but I think in the narrative of popular entertainment, he is movies.
Mm.
Like those
The
sort
last
of the last
action hero.
like genuinely, right? Like he is the guy that we have personified to make movies, and he has bought into going, yeah, I can be that.
Yeah.
I can fill that role of the guy who loves the movies. I'll awkwardly banter about how much I love popcorn because like I'm the guy who loves the movies, and I can be that for you. I'll do all my own stunts, and I'll be the guy who loves movies because right now you need a guy who just loves movies, who's pretty good at making movies.
I ran into Alexi Toliopoulos, and we were both talking about it, and I was saying, what did you think of it? And he's like, well, personally, I love films with exposition. And I'm like, oh, well, you would love this film because it goes for 3 hours. And I'd say half those scenes is a group scene where you have 7 people in a room, and one of them will go, how do we hack into the Pentagon's computer? And then another guy go, well, we have to access the codes. And then third person go, but the codes are located under a bench. And then a fourth person will go, the bench is secured by 2 guards. And then a fifth person will go, but if the guards, and they do this, the camera just goes round and around as each person just takes it. And it's like a theater sports game, like one line at a time storytelling.
If you skipped all the stuff that could be explained by computers, right?
Yeah.
That none of us have the information to be able to, like if you're setting up where the team have to go to get the thing, great, fine. I like a bit of exposition about, like I don't necessarily need them to just suddenly be in Moscow and like getting a thing. I like to know why that thing was in Moscow and why they needed to get there. But you can skip everything up to computer, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, because I don't know what any of that stuff is that you're saying or what it means. I have no reference point.
And this film will baffle you. Like I knew the plot pretty well, but I was going, what are they doing now? Where are they going? Because everyone's constantly talking. And when they're not talking, there are so many scenes where it's a room full of people and they all just nod at each other.
Yeah.
Like they're meeting in Trafalgar Square. Nod, nod, nod. And it's like,
but I
do we need
also
5 minutes of runtime to see you guys nodding at each other.
I bet that Tom believes, and he's bought into the narrative, or at least he appears to have bought into the narrative, that like, you know, this might be the last gasp of these movies being real or performed by real people, and that AI is the enemy of what it is that he
That is
does.
the not so subtle subtext. Of
Yeah,
the
I was
going to
say, but that's okay.
Mm.
I feel like making a big, like, motion, because he's earned the right to have that conversation, I think, in the way that he's gone about what he's prioritized as being like his brands in regard to his storytelling, doing it yourself and involving these real life people, and that there's value in doing it that way has been something he genuinely has been. He's lived what he's preached in regard to that. So if anyone has the right to make an on the nose commentary about that, I actually kind of feel like I'm fine with him doing that, but an AI being the main villain in one of these movies just is disappointing to me, because I just think these are great movies where you get to just get to invent
Switch
a
off from the
villain
real
with
world.
just
some
let him
Euro
have
trash.
just have a bomb or like a gas or something.
That's
right?
the other thing. There's like 4 different things going on. There's a bomb, but there's also the entity, but there's also this, but there's also that. It's
I
like
don't need all the super, and I also, if your whole thing
nanobots.
if your other thing's going to be a supercomputer, then Ethan Hunt can't just be smarter than it all the time. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that thing of going, well, there was a 92% chance that you're like, yeah, but you can't just rely on that he's the 8%, you're always in the 8% chance. You know what I mean? Like,
So I hope that answers your question about G-strings. Okay, this next is from Carly.
It was. You're right. I had to go a long way back there, but you're right. That was about G-strings.
This is from Carly. Some kind words to say about the video store and Philosophy. Hi, Will and Charlie. Just wanted to say how much I'm loving the video store. Even though I haven't watched most of the movies, I still enjoy it. Anyway, Guy Davis's knowledge and random facts is great, and I love your perspective due to the various hats you wear in the industry.
I will say this too. I mean, I say this to you sometimes in real life, but like not as often as like, because it just doesn't come up, which is that I think it's fantastic too. Such a great addition to like what we do here, and the fact that it is like regular part of like our universe now, you know, established. And I just like particularly the episodes that you have done around when somebody in that universe has died, or a tribute sort of
retrospective, yeah.
retrospective. Those ones have been really fantastic. The Val Kilmer, the David Lynch, like.
Well, this next bit is actually so. How much prep goes into each episode? Do you and Guy research to ensure you have those random facts, or is Guy the type of guy who just knows that stuff anyway? Guy is that kind of guy.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Like, this is one of those rare instances. Dad Pod was like this, where I get to be the will in the relationship, where I'm like, hey, I've got this idea, but can you do most of the kind of heavy lifting, and I'll just come in and make some stupid jokes over the top. So Guy is a genuine cinephile. Like, do you know, and by the way, do you know who Guy's father was?
Judy Davis.
Bob Davis, Geelong legend.
Oh, is that right?
Bob Davis, yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, he grew up like the heir apparent, I guess, to like a footballing royalty down Geelong way, and he's a movie lover, a cinephile. But he genuinely, like, Guy. The reason I wanted to start doing this show is I follow Guy on Twitter, and he just randomly texts, I dug out.
Sounds like a caveman explaining the internet. I follow Guy on Twitter.
Oh yeah, it seems so old fashioned, doesn't it? But he just he'll occasionally just say, I'm watching these two movies right now. And then he'll just give you he'll just write a thread about watching those films. And it's always stuff I've never heard of or like tangentially heard of. But he has a real fascination. Like, he's like Alexi. He just loves cinema and loves the kind of culture of cinema and the story behind cinema and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, this is like an interesting thing when it comes to, AI algorithm-led like entertainment choices that we're living in the age of at the moment. If you like this, you might like this.
Yes.
The fact that your For You page is being served individualized content around, no one has the same Netflix homepage anymore. But then you have the guys or the Alexis or whoever it might be, who the value of an individual curator has, like, at least for some people, become really prominent again, where you're like, I don't want the algorithm to be shaping like what I think of like popular culture. Like, I'd love someone who, in the same way as if I go to a restaurant or like whatever, I'm going there on the premise that you know more about this than I do, and you've got the right ingredients and combined them in the right way and like made a big deal of it in a way that I just would never have the capacity to do. And I also want that sometimes from my, like, I don't need everyone in the world to pick the movies for me.
Yeah.
I need
people you trust.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or
100%.
But someone who might pick something for me. When we were speaking to Adam Spencer, one of the questions that I couldn't quite formulate, and we could have asked him questions for like another 2 hours because there was just so much stuff, was just this idea of, I know that the algorithm can serve me what it knows I like, but can it serve me something that I don't initially like, but it knows that I will come? Because you know how sometimes the best things, the things I like the most, are things that I initially did not think that I would like when I went into them, and I was won over by them. And part of the joy of what I liked about it was like, like when I went to see Gary Starr Classic Penguins at the Comedy Festival this year, there are so many elements to that show. He's naked, it's clowning, there's massive audience participation. There's a whole bunch of things that if you'd explained them to me, I wouldn't have wanted to see the show. It was one of my favorite shows I've ever seen, like the joy of it. And part of it was that I was like, I don't like any of these things and I'm loving this, And so would an algorithm say to me, you should go and see this show? Or is an algorithm going to send me to a whole bunch of things that are just like things that I've looked at before? I wonder, is it capable of making that like leap to showing you something that you've never liked before? All the inputs that are in it say, I've never liked this before, but for me to grow, for me to be like that, I would like it.
Have you
or is that something just human?
Have you done the last video store, Alexi's?
He's
show?
asked me to do it. I haven't had the.
But so, and you've listened to it, right? So you know that's the formula of his show is you'll come in with your, your favorite international and local film, and then from what you've told him, he will recommend some videos some films you should watch. And I don't think AI is at that level, because Alexi's very good at going, I see the similarities between these two films you've chosen, or thematically, blah, blah, blah. I don't think AI is yet at that point. They're just looking at what have you lingered on, what is the broad brush
But even
stroke.
in the way Alexi does it, so he takes in more information. So say Alexi is the AI.
Mm.
Alexa.
Alexa,
I would like
Alexa
that.
intelligence.
Yeah, I would actually, if I had an Alexi, I've never had an Alexa,
Hey,
but I
Alexi.
could have an Alexi if like it framed it in the, actually, this is a good
That's
use
me,
of AI.
baby. I'm here to make film recommendations, baby.
And it'd just be always so encouraging. You
Yeah.
just feel like
Yeah.
whatever you're, and you can switch it to Margaret Pomeranz mode.
Yeah,
Like when you need a
totally.
little bit of that. Oh, actually, this is a great idea. But he takes what he knows about you from the interview or what he knows about you from your life. And yeah, it does make a bit of a, oh, this person, I'm just going to give a kind of composite of what they've fed me in this. That's the information versus, oh, no, I know more about this, that this person also likes to take risks or likes seeing really new stuff or whatever it is. And I'm going to add that into the mix, like as extra knowledge. I'm wondering though, if I brought in that, you know, if I bring in The Dark Knight and I don't know,
Yahoo, Young Einstein.
Young Einstein, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight and Young Einstein. Does like he know out of that information that like the best thing to show me would be something that was neither of
A
those
beans
things?
equals C. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Because like what I need to, I've seen like obviously the best movie and the worst movie of all time.
Oh,
So
have you
I
ever?
need
But
something in between.
because my algorithm's
Yeah.
cooked on YouTube. Like
Yeah.
I hate the shit that I get suggested because often I'm like watching like either political stuff or like footy stuff, and so then I get fed every like B level version of that. And I really have to like search hard to find kind of more interesting stuff. Like I love video essays. It's one of my favorite things to listen to when I'm exercising or doing other work is like a video essay.
I've been listening to a lot of video essays.
It's just like, hey, cunt. You know, cunt. You want a fucking cigarette, cunt? Oh, essay. Fuck you up, cunt. You might have to bleep all that, Mike. I don't know. This came in from Kaya. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Howdy, TOFOP. I wrote in a while back, and my message was read out on the episode Message from a Kaiju. As a refresher, I'm the guy who free soloed a rock climbing route while listening to your podcast.
Yeah, okay.
Now, we assumed Kaya was a girl. He said, firstly, I'm a guy with a girl's name, but not a girl, but that's understandable mistake, so no worries there.
No judgments.
Second, I played up the danger of my activity because I thought the juxtaposition between the dangerous activity and a silly podcast would be funny. It was. Don't ruin our dreams. But I'm not really in any danger of dying, something you were worried about, so no worries there either. Finally, I'm writing in to talk about Will's Stanley Cup. Well, not just Will's Stanley Cup, because after much discussion, and I was lambasted for not bringing in my Stanley Cup last time, but this time I tipped the water out, put it in my backpack, and I brought it down with me. Now, what do you reckon?
And then the crowd's gone wild.
Yeah.
Firstly, I like it. I like it a lot. Mine's smaller than that.
Yeah, it is small.
I have one that's bigger. I told you that I have the two. I have one that size as well. But you're just rolling with that size as your day-to-day size.
That's my
You're
day-to-day.
happy with that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing is
I
I
want to just like have a feel of that one, like just in your hand, just to see if that would be.
Oh, it's so cute. It's so cute. It's so light. No, I like this one because generally I don't carry it around like it's in the car maybe if I'm driving somewhere, but I'm not walking around like you
No.
do. But you say you walk down the street with it and you want to bash people.
Yeah, but I mean that's always post drinking it.
Okay.
Like I'm very much I'm taking it to a show or a gig or whatever. I'm filling it with whatever it is for that. I'm emptying it by the end of that process, and then it's like
Looking for
it's
someone
empty.
to bash.
I'm looking for someone.
Just
to
looking
bash.
for
I'm
trouble.
fucking just
You're the
walking
essay.
down- walking down.
cigarette.
I'm just playing my podcast out loud. So, all right.
Party pay.
Here's what I'm going to tell you.
Yep.
This is not a great sign for us.
Oh no.
So in the office at Gruen this week, we were talking about maybe we'd talk about like the portable water bottle as a brand. You know, like obviously it's become a bit of an identity thing, and like there are a whole bunch of different companies that are in this space. But the big story obviously has been Stanley Cup. And then I learnt some news
Oh no.
that apparently Stanley Cups aren't as cool as they used to be.
Oh, really?
Apparently, they got a bit too popular.
Oh, it's just the Razor scooter of
and
cups.
now there's been like a backlash, and like the younger people are into the Yetis and some other. Oh, here we go.
We got some
All right,
recommendations.
okay.
We got some recommendations.
All right,
Okay, so I want to talk about the Will Stanley
no.
Cup. I'm a big fan of those sorts of tumblers and water bottles, but recently found out brands like Stanley and Yeti have a small bead of lead in the bottom of the cups.
Oh, beautiful.
That's part of the manufacturing process. It's
Right.
sealed off.
It's like hurting my brain a bit, right?
So the consumer won't actually get any lead poisoning unless the bottom of the bottle is severely damaged. Like if you're bashing people around the city streets after you've done a gig.
The bottle's undamaged. They're damaged.
Basically, you'll be 99% safe most of the time. Still, I think it's very silly to continue using any amount of lead in any drinking vessel in 2025, regardless of how little risk there may be. I've switched to the brands Hydro Flask and Awala, because they don't use lead. I'm wondering if Will cares about this or not. My money would be on.
Not?
Yeah, it's on the money. But I'm writing in just as a PSA.
No, I like it. I appreciate the PSA. I don't know. What would a small amount of lead do to me in the long run? Like, I know lead poisoning is a thing that can happen, but like...
Well, we grew up in a time when fucking, we had lead petrol, we had lead paint.
Lead pencils.
Lead was everything.
Everything was lead.
We ate lead.
Yeah. Born and bred lead.
Lead poisoning can cause a range of health problems, particularly in children. In adults, it can lead to high blood pressure, kidney problems, and brain damage.
Oh, yeah.
In children, even low levels of lead exposure can result in decreased intelligence, behavioural issues, impaired hearing. Sydney Children's
Maybe
Hospital
that's what
Network.
happens to your hearing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Maybe
it's ever since I got the bloody Stanley Cup.
Well, anyway, the fact that Stanley Cups aren't cool anymore coincided almost with the exact moment that you and I got on board.
I know.
Which I think is sad.
But that makes it cool, I think.
Yeah.
We're being ironic. We're hipsters.
Yeah, we've reclaimed it. We've only got in when it is uncool.
Yeah, because
we didn't get in on the trend.
It was a certain kind of influencer girl that popularized it. The big dumb cup.
It's actually
sketch.
better, right? Like, it's actually better that they've moved on.
Well, is it in the same way that like the Proud Boys kind of adopted what was it? It's a Fred Perry black polo with the gold. They just started wearing that, and then Fred Perry like, well, we have to discontinue this now because it's associated with white nationalism.
I mean, how would you feel? I think we've probably talked about this before, but like, if something from this podcast.
Oh, okay. So everyone relax wear.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, we put out your range of everyone relax wear.
Your range. I love how you're already distancing yourself from that thing.
I don't know we haven't discussed where these factories are or anything. You just keep saying.
Oh, you don't ask any questions, Will. The clothes will get made. You don't worry about it.
That's why I need some plausible deniability about the everyone relax.
Sweatpants. Sweatpants.
Everyone relax. As you work 19 hours a day
for 5 cents
with your nimble fingers off our Patreon.
Why are all those nets around your factory? Don't worry. They're trampolines. The kids get to play.
Jungle gyms. Anyway,
what were you going to say? Oh, what if someone was wearing everyone relax wear
like they stormed the Capitol again or whatever.
Yeah. Or in Australia, it'd be like, what's that? It's what are they called? The United Patriots or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Okay. So there's like
they're on the steps in Victoria. Calling for Dan Andrews.
Yeah,
to
that's
be banned.
right. Yeah. Okay. Oh. We go into the city of Melbourne.
Yeah, to do a live show.
And we see those people who used to do all the marches, the lockdown marches, who we've talked about so many times at the live show, driving around the city. And they've all started
everyone
relax wear. Turns out they love being mentioned on the podcast.
Yeah.
They've got on board. They
needed something that was comfortable for fighting with cops.
Yeah.
That's like they found that like you can really punch a police horse when you're wearing one of those everyone relax wear hoodies.
I mean, I think it's just like it's also just sending a good message. Like it helps probably because people do immediately feel a bit put off by some of the messaging and the way it's being delivered. But if people say everyone relax, maybe they go, oh, okay, you know what? Like one of your signs says that Dan Andrews caused 5G to kill Steve Irwin, but the other one says everyone relax. So
it's sugarcoat the image. Okay, this came in from Damien. Hey, gang, love the pod, and you are one of only 2 podcasts that I add to my listen queue without fail. What's the other one? The Footy with Broden Kelly. No, maybe broader interests.
Don't know enough about Joe yet.
Okay. Yes, Will, that does mean sometimes I play a podcast without knowing what I'm playing.
Okay.
Anyway, I have no idea if I watched this because of something you said, but if not, you have to watch this. And if so, isn't that TOFOP-ish behavior? It's a BBC documentary about boy bands, and of course it covers the creation of Five. I won't spoil anything other than most of these band managers are mendacious fucks, especially Simon Cowell. This is I think it's a 3-part series called Boy Bands Forever. I've been sent the link. I've actually I listened to the guys from Five. So I think I mentioned they've sold out the O2.
Five? Have you mentioned Five?
Five, yes.
Yeah, okay.
But they've sold out
the boy band Five.
The reunion Five. They have sold out the O2
the original Five.
4 nights.
Back together.
Back together.
Do you think they feel bad that there wasn't 5
What
nights?
do you mean?
Do you mean? Come on, if you're going to come back. Surely.
On the 5th of May, they've got to do.
Surely they've booked
5 nights.
Surely they've booked an extra night, like in the books. Like the managers, when they're putting it back together, going, and it's like, okay, it's great. This is, you know what this is all about? The others have been touring. Sometimes there's been 3, sometimes there's been 4. But this is like what we've just got to tell them about this time. It's the original lineup back together. It's the name of the band. It finally makes sense. It's 5. It's all going to be about the 5. And we're going to do Wembley Stadium, the O2 Arena. And people are like, oh, how many nights? 4.
So deflate it. Just like that.
4, 3.
I listened to this very long rant. They did like an hour and 20 minutes with a guy, a podcaster, I guess, but he was an ex-boy band member himself. I think he was in Westlife or something. And it was fascinating. I finally got all the answers from Jay. Because each member of the band kind of just sort of said what they've been up to. And the thing is, it's everything that we kind of speculated, or everything that I had assumed based on the scant evidence I had, that he literally he so burnt out, he just wandered the earth. He got very much into Eastern philosophy, felt like he had been sort of led down this path of wanting material possessions, and then had been spun in the other direction because he'd hated that world so much, but now I think needs some material possessions.
Yeah, I mean, after a while, you're like, it's been great to connect with nature, but everyone else has got a house now. Yeah.
So that was satisfying hearing that, but then I just realized, there is nowhere. Maybe this is the best environment for this story to be told.
Yeah.
Like with the other 5 members, because in the end, it would have just been like the other 5 members, the other 4 members. Yeah. This is the official story rather than getting it from one person.
It's the complete story.
Yeah.
It's them together.
And it's also
because the truth of it is that they, of course, they all have their own individual stories of, like, even just the various power dynamics of being in a group of 5 people would have been, they all would have had an individual story to tell. But the fact that they have been split apart for so long, and some of them continued as doing the thing while others went off and, did a whole bunch of other things and have come back to it, there would be so much going on, but the only way to really tell it is just all 5 of them together, right?
Yeah. Mike, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
As a parent,
will you tell your children about 5?
No, if you had a child, so
will you tell them?
You're saying your daughter's doing dance. Just say,
Daddy, what did you used to do when you were younger in your career? Well, I produced a podcast where a middle-aged man would talk about the
boy band
from
the 90s
for like months on end.
If your daughter wants to get into showbiz, but as like a kid, like as a teenager, either she wants to be a singer or an actor or whatever. Like,
what about an online influencer, or is this a different?
No, that's a similar thing, but something public facing. Because I have feelings about it, and I'm like, no, absolutely. I didn't get into acting until I was like in my early 20s. I felt like I went to uni and did a whole bunch of stuff, and I feel like that sort of put me in good stead when it came to acting, because I always felt like I had other things going on besides than this very kind of volatile kind of career. But if your daughter came to you and she just loved it and really wanted to do it, how do you feel? What would be your attitude to that?
When she's older, do what you want.
Yes, when she's an
anything,
adult.
that's fine. As a kid, maybe depends how old.
It's hard
tricky, isn't it?
It feels exploitative, even if you're the most supportive
of course it does,
parent.
because you don't know, you can't give active consent to like your world being out there. Like the minimum, what we need is the idea that you have the right to disappear. So there are countries around the world that have enacted this thing that if a child can be forgotten, right?
Yeah.
So they can say you have to take down everything of me, but it's still going to exist somewhere, right? If it's out there. And if you're a kid who don't know how to actually actively consent that you want, I would hate. I mean, I know that I didn't have it, so it's hard for me to say I didn't grow up in that same environment, but that is feels awful to me, the idea that somebody could do that. The amount of stories we've seen of actual kid entertainers being exploited by their parents and families and people associated with them, even in the most legitimate of showbiz industries of like modeling and acting and music and all these things. We see the stories in the big industries. You think that shit isn't going to happen in this completely unregulated place where this is happening all the time. Like there are kids.
It's also a stage of your life, adolescence to teendom, where your self-image and your self-worth is so unstable.
Yes.
And when you're in an environment in which, because it is unnatural, the hierarchy of showbiz, when you're a performer, is you get treated amazingly because people are relying on you to perform once the spotlight's on you or the camera's on you or whatever it is. So they'll hold an umbrella over your head and bring you a bottle of water and look after you. But that's not the way the world works. And so I would just be worried that when the child leaves that environment and then has to socialize with other kids or other just general public people, that they have a very skewed view of the world, but or an inability to...
Even if and this is this is my pet thing. So, but I would have thought if your kid was a creative kid and you wanted to encourage that creativity, as someone who has made my career in the creative arts and been around the creative arts, I think the greatest gift you could give your kid is not putting them out there. Let them try everything. If they're a creative kid, I would teach them everything and let them be good at some stuff and let them fail at other stuff, but indulge their creativity, but let them make mistakes, let them explore. Even just that idea that they'll do something well on the internet when they're young and then just get trapped having to do that same thing over and over forever. I don't actually think you're doing them a service as an artist or a creative person by doing that.
I own her. She has a few YouTubers that she likes watching, and I think most of them are kind of grown ups, but there's a couple of kid ones, or at least kid and their parents, where they'll it's arts and crafts or whatever. Yeah. And so she was saying to me, I want to make YouTube videos, and I said, well, you can make videos, no problem. We'll set you make it. I said, but we're not, they're not going anywhere. We'll just make them for us. And so I set her up. She wanted to do a video. I Own Her and Friends, that she called the show. And I was sort of just half listening, and I saw her press record, and she ad-libbed this intro, which I just love, where she came up with the pseudonym Big Head. And she's like, "Hi, I'm Big Head. You see me around, you better kick it." And then she went into her spiel, and I'm like, "What was that?" And then she got all embarrassed. I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm not shaming you or anything, but where did that come from? If you see me around, better kick it." And I think it's just her 5-year-old brain, just it's. I hear these kind of cool intros. That's her version of what it is. But now I'm like, I think that's a pretty cool intro. You see me around, better kick it. It's almost like a Beastie Boys lyric from the early years.
And I think that this becomes the temptation with parents, right? Is you go, actually, this is kind of adorable and she seems to love to do it. But then, of course, the problem is that, they love to do all sorts of things. Yeah. And I think that the appeal of, we even see how adults who work in the industries that are associated to the variety of algorithmic pressures that the internet brings with us, even adults can't handle it that well. The idea that you're going to throw your kids into that world I just don't think, like, I love that idea of the creativity of making your own videos that you could, like, share on a little private, like, thing
with family
like,
and friends.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if grandma wants to see, like, blah, 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 like that sort of thing.
I have on my hard drive, I have a folder called IonaFop because we've done about 7 episodes of IonaFop.
I mean, I think great to do it, right?
Yeah.
And brilliant even to have those recordings that one day maybe she could listen to and go, oh, this is fun for my 21st or like whatever, right? Like there's a time where you could, I'm not saying don't film your kids when they're young. I'm just saying don't put it on your Instagram page.
Yeah, don't make them like subject to the whims of an algorithm. It seems problematic.
I once interviewed the 3 different child actors who played the character Bronson on Round the Twist.
Oh yeah.
And all 3 of them had the exact same story of being relentlessly bullied and how that bully changed their life.
Yes.
I mean, I've told this story before on this show, but Mike hasn't heard it. So, Mike, I was shortlisted for Round the Twist when I was a teenager.
Oh, fuck, I didn't know this.
Yeah,
Which
right.
Character?
This is a good story. Well, I didn't get that far because basically they did a big cattle call to all the schools in Victoria. And, one of my teachers suggested me, and I had no acting experience, no exposure to any of this stuff, and somehow made it through to the final audition, which was they ran a Saturday workshop with, say, I felt like there was maybe 20 to 30 kids there, and we were all told to prepare a piece to, perform for the producers and, the casting agent and stuff. And me being naive, I'm like, oh, I don't know, what should I prepare? And one of my mum's friends suggested I memorize a Pam Ayres poem. So I went off and memorized this poem and then sat down at this audition and watched in horror as child after child got up, and they are all showbiz kids. So one of them gets up and does like a flawless Michael Jackson routine. Another kid gets up and sings Whitney Houston, and it's getting around to me, and I'm fucking sweating bullets at the age of 13 because all I've got in my arsenal is a fucking Pam Ayres poem. And so it gets to me, and I am like, it would be close to a panic attack. I get up there like just shaking, and I start my poem like, here we are, and then I just I forget it. I completely blank. And the producers were just like, have you got the poem here? Do you want to go read it? And so I'm like, yeah, dead silence, have to slink back to my chair, get the Pam Ayres book and stand there like, and this is voice just reading my Pam Ayres poem. And then like sitting down while the next kid gets up with his guitar and sings American Pie flawlessly. I mean, it is amazing that I decided to pursue this, considering that is like a incredibly scarring experience.
I mean, you know what I love about that, though, is even if you hadn't had the panic attack and had to read it from the book, it still would have been so out of place. Like, even if you'd done the best version of the Pam Ayres poem,
it wasn't getting you the
still
job.
wasn't getting you.
Oh, why did someone in my life go, hey, what is this? Like, and help me. Like, I was just left to my own devices.
I mean, it doesn't feel...
It's also the kind of thing like a 60-year-old would come prepared with.
Right.
Like, there's kids like dancing to Michael Jackson, and I'm there like, oh, God. Anyway, moving on. This came in from Sam.
I feel like you could be relentlessly bullied just for auditioning for Round the Twist.
In defense of the double coat, TOFOP guys, listening to the discussion around Tim Tams, I felt compelled to write in and make an argument as to why the double coat is the superior Tim Tam. Structural integrity. The added coat makes it hold up much better for the Tim Tam slam. You know what that is, don't you? Where you bite the corners off and suck the tea through. You know what a Tim Tam slam is, don't you?
Is this like the moment in the movie where we realize there's like a Mandela effect or something like that? I mean, of course I do. It's the most common.
You didn't fucking answer. You stared at me like a dog.
But that's like saying, have you heard of a boomerang?
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like one of the most cliched things about Australia. That's one of the most
Not everyone listening knows what a Tim Tam slam is. We have overseas. For overseas listeners, a Tim Tam slam is where you nibble the diagonally opposite.
I know, mate. We can't stop banging on about the Tim Tam slam. It's like one of the most cliched Australian things of all time. Is it not, Mike?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I've had this debate with friends and family countless times, and it's a hill I'm willing to die on. I love that the Crack the Pack segment and the genuine breakdowns and analysis. It's a shame the same can't be said for Two Guys, One Cup. Oh, fucking hell.
No,
I wasn't expecting that drive by.
No, I mean, that's fair.
What do you think about that, though? Structural integrity with the double coat?
Yeah. I think there's an argument for
I don't think it makes it a better biscuit, though. That's like almost
I think that structural integrity is something that I value, but it's not in like the percentages that I value most highly. If you rate like structural integrity as a really important part of the biscuit, then I think that yes, it absolutely rates higher in that regard. I will say this. I've been cheating on you a little bit.
Oh.
In at Gruen, that we were just talking. I started a discussion like in the kitchen at Gruen because it was like a packet of biscuits.
A TOFOP discussion.
Yeah, well, because it was about biscuits. People were already talking about biscuits. I walked into a biscuit conversation in the kitchen, and I mentioned to the runner, who gets me like my coffee and my lunch and stuff, that on my podcast we had been cracking packs of biscuits, and she stared at me like, "Who are you, old man? Why do I need to bring you stuff?"
Some shit.
Like, yeah, totally. No, we had quite a we were talking about like
serious discussion,
having like a good back and forward about like she was quite curious about what we thought the best biscuit was, and so we were talking about the one that kind of started all this, which was the Tim Tam with the Jats or the what was the Jats?
Yeah, Jats.
Yeah, Jats. And she hadn't tried that, and so the next week when I got to work, she had like got a packet of those for everyone to try, and then has been so since then. In my dressing room, when I come in, like with the little things they leave, there's always like a couple of biscuits, and they're different every week. So I feel like I'm doing a side.
That's
game
all right. That's
of
good.
Crack the Pack. Now we haven't so far cracked anything that hasn't been previously cracked on this.
Even if you did that,
I'm not doing anything new with.
I'm not doing freaky shit. It's like we're just missionary style, and then
it's only stuff we've done. You're bored with that stuff. You've moved on.
Yeah, you're sleeping with a sex worker who looks exactly like your wife.
You don't want to revisit a mint slice. I had a mint slice the other day though, and I was like,
okay.
Yeah, I was like,
was it heated?
No, I didn't hate it.
Okay.
But I did enjoy it.
All right.
Yeah.
On the subject of Crack That Pack, do you remember Michael? He set up the workplace Crack That Pack where he had everyone filling in. So he's got a follow-up. Just listen to the workplace Crack That Pack. Thought I'd send an update. It's been a roaring success and people have really got into it. I've attached the expanded spreadsheet that has now been folded over so the back can be used as well. I've also attached a summary sheet one of the team created. I've also touched a summary sheet one of the team created, showing the average grade for each biscuit cracked. It's been great fun, generating lots of discussion and nostalgia. This week, someone brought in a pack of Arnott Mini wagon wheels, and they are so good. That got us talking about the old wagon wheel ads from the 80s. Hopefully, Firewarden Mike can bring some up for you. If you want, Mike, don't feel compelled. I think the terrible accents will pass the acceptability test. It was a different time. As a reminder, in Scandinavia, they snack on pickled herring because they don't have wagon wheels. Which would you prefer? Do you remember that? Do you remember the ads?
Yes.
In Scandinavia, they snack on pickled herrings.
I do
Eat the wagon wheel. Eat the wagon wheel. In Nicaragua, they snack on stuffed iguana because they don't have wagon wheels. In Thailand, they snack on fried grasshoppers because they don't have wagon wheels. I've eaten fried grasshoppers when I was in Cambodia. It's actually pretty good.
I think that would be something that I would like.
You would break your vegetarianism? Are you vegan or vegetarian?
No, I'm vegetarian.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that if because I think crickets are it's the sustainable sort of future option, right, or whatever. Like if that were the option, I think I would probably enjoy that because I like when I used to eat meat a long time ago now, but I used to quite like prawns and stuff like that. So I think.
I mean, the thing is, right, and this, eating that kind of market food proves it. You deep fry anything. Roll it in spices, salt, or sugar, or both.
But that's also why I don't feel like I ever need to eat meat of any kind again because they've got so good at deep frying everything.
Yeah.
That also, like most of the time, I don't even need you to actually deep fry anything other than just get the batter that you were going to deep fry the thing in, chuck that in the oil, and then scoop that out and like put some salt on that and give that to me.
Okay, I'm going to run through Michael's.
Yeah,
This is
okay,
the
great.
workplace listing. And this is interesting because the lowest ranking is a C minus. So nothing's got like a gay time rating.
Appreciate that.
Nothing higher than an A,
Yeah.
so no S tier. Okay, so Tim Tam Originals take up positions 1 through 4. Tim Tam Original is the highest ranking. Salt Brownie second, Decadent Triple Choc third, Salted Caramel fourth.
Okay.
Caramel double representation. Okay. Then Kingston A minus, Butternut Snap A minus, Chocolate Hobnob A minus. That's like a digestive, isn't it? The hobnob. I think so. Spicy Fruit Roll B plus.
B
But people
plus.
like that. Shortbread Cream B plus, Monte Carlo B plus, Hundreds and Thousands B plus. These are all these are very generous
Very
rankings.
generous, I think.
Oreos B plus, I agree with that. Maltesers B plus, that was the one we fucking hated.
Yeah, that was like,
Just
these
as-
these are. I think. Like, I mean, no shade.
yeah.
I mean, I know this is just a workplace.
You don't think they're discerning enough?
I don't think they're discerning enough.
Well, there's one biscuit that's just called Japanese cookie.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to know what that is. And then that got a B plus. Skip right down to the end, C minus, the orange slice, which is the least favorite
Yep.
of the assorted.
Yep.
And the milk arrowroot and the malto milk. Oh no, malto milk's a B minus. You guys aren't discerning enough. I'm going to say it categorically.
But you know what I kind of like is they're basically all store-bought biscuits. So this feels like a subgenre. We've been throwing all sorts of things in the mix. You know, they've come from all over the place. Whereas this feels a bit more like very much of the workplace
Yep.
things that you might
If
bring
you're in a communal
right?
kitchen,
Yeah.
totally.
And I like that. I like those parameters on it. You get a good reading of biscuit versus other biscuit. It's interesting to me that I think if, like we did with the Hague's chocolates the other week, that if we had like an assorted pack of biscuits and we actually had to make the decision of how would you put these in order, because like over the weeks we kind of like throw around ratings, but like if we had to eat them like in order, like you know what would be the order that you would eat them all
I
in?
still think there was an oat and raisin that
Yeah.
you got from the cookie factory or whatever it's called.
At the South Melbourne market.
Yeah, that
one.
still is. I think
The
I
best
still
one.
think about that cookie.
Yeah, I know. That
It
was
was that
great.
good. Honestly, one of the best I've ever had. You know what? My bakery, my local bakery in town, I normally talk about the Anzac, which is great, and they do this buckwheat dark chocolate one, which is great. And I went for their chunky chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah.
You know, like the thick ones we've been eating, and it was no good. It actually felt mostly like chocolate with a little bit of biscuit around it.
Yeah.
I actually couldn't finish it. It was too sweet, too rich for me.
Yeah. No, I had oh man. If I'm going to eat biscuits at work, I've got to stop eating them so much in real life as well.
Yeah.
It's all starting to bleed into each other.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
we'll
Mike's got something.
we'll do a couple
Okay.
more letters and then crack that back. Yeah. Okay.
All
Hey guys, this is from Jeff. Love your podcast despite being a generation removed from you both. I'm 71.
Oh, brilliant.
Like every generation, I am constantly fascinated by the things younger people do and or find important, like biscuits. Yeah, one of those
I
things.
feel like that is traditionally been a bit of an older person thing, enjoying a biscuit.
No, that
but
was
like,
I added the biscuits.
Yeah, but that's
Oh.
what I'm saying. Is
All right.
like I think that's some of our relatable content
Yeah,
that
for
might be
the-
getting the 71-year-olds in.
One of the things that you guys talk about is an obsession with water. With most people your age or younger seemingly unable to leave their house for longer than 10 minutes without some form of hydration. Reminds me of when I used to be on Home and Away, and Ray Ma, who plays Alf, that was one of his constant gags. Is like, oh, here they come with the bloody water bottles. Got to bring your water bottle on set. My day, you'd have
Drink
one
out of a
glass of
hose.
water in the morning, and that was it.
You just go out in the garden, squirt a hose into your face, and that'd do you for a month.
When I was in my youth, I would go weeks without drinking any.
Well, that's not good for you, though.
And the suggestion of actually paying money for something free
Yeah.
and on tap and then to pay 50 or 60 bucks for a dispenser to cart the stuff around in would have resulted in total ridicule. Yeah.
I mean, of course.
Absolutely.
Yes, within our lifetimes
Yes,
also.
for sure.
That is the case. I could never have imagined that it would be what we are doing.
Whilst I realise we now understand the importance of regular hydration, do
Yes.
you and your sippy cup friends
Yeah. No, it's fair.
ever wonder if you've been overly influenced by big water? Yes.
Yes.
I mean, more than just big water. I think there is a whole confluence of influences. I think it's like the health and fitness industry. There is big water. There is homewares. There is all kind. There's so much status attached with having water as well.
I think also the truth of it is that I work in environments in which, like, particularly like a TV or whatever, where we've gone through transitions of people wanting bottled water to not wanting like even in like COVID and stuff like that, not sharing things, and then like a move back to let's not use so much waste and etc. So now everyone has like a water bottle, and you try to work on a set where everybody has their own things. I know in my personal like life, now that I'm a bit more settled, like if I take this with me, I'm mostly only ever drinking tap water. Like I'm not doing that. Like there was a period of time where I would drink a lot of bottled water, but it's mostly only tap water now.
Yeah, I also feel like I was probably someone who hardly drank water during the day, like, didn't carry water around with me. But now I acutely feel it when I don't have lots of water around. Like I get very dehydrated. I don't know if it's an age thing or if I just got used to it. But I try and drink about the full Stanley Cup when I wake up. Like I try and start my day by flooding my innards with water.
Okay.
Last one before we crack that pack. This came in from Rosie. Hey, Charlie, I've been listening to a recent episode where you were discussing your new leaky Stanley Cup. I wanted to draw your attention to an alternative. Owala. So it's the second person who's recommended this. The Owala tumbler has
How do you spell it?
O-W-A-L-A. Owala? Owala. O-W-A-L-A. Owala. O-ala. Owala. The Owala tumbler has a straw you can sip from, but also a wider mouth for chugging. It's leak-proof and lockable, and the side handle a la Stanley. Personally, I have the original Owala free sip. It's been a game changer. I never drank water before I got... What the fuck is going on with our listeners?
I love it.
Not drinking water. I never drank water until I got this bottle, and now I carry it with me everywhere.
I love water.
It's stupidly expensive, but it wasn't. If there wasn't an episode a few years back where wasn't there an episode a few years back where you and Will literally spent the whole thing talking about water and staying hydrated? I mean, a lot of episodes.
Probably.
Anyway, I've been listening from the beginning as a young teenage girl. I was kind of horrified by gross boy talk, but morbidly fascinated. Have been charmed listening to you guys evolve over the years to become curmudgeonly old men. Gross boys to curmudgeonly old men, the TOFOP experience.
What a beautiful journey.
Yeah. Also, I'm not a doctor, but I'm a clinical psychologist.
Oh, yeah. No, that'll do.
You keep me laughing so I can keep them crying.
Oh, yeah.
Usually a good sign. The client is accessing
True,
emotions
right?
that need to be processed.
Exactly. Just let it out.
Hope you're not laughing while they're crying, though. That might be sending mixed
I'll just put it
messages.
in a TOFOP when you work through that.
Yeah. All right. Mike, you know what time it is. It's time to crack that pack. All right. So you might remember a few weeks ago, Will, we got thick. We got thick with it. Well, this is another Biscoff thick collaboration, but this time it's Biscoff Nutella and thick cookie. So
I didn't like the first one.
No, but this one's been heated, right, Mike? Yeah, he's nodding. Okay. It looks a bit. I mean, I'm going to just say visually, it looks a lot.
Oh, no, it's falling apart.
Please use the paper towel underneath the package. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's a good idea. We're just going to get paper towel.
Actually, that'd be great.
Here you go.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. All right. I'm going to take a bite so you can.
Okay,
talk.
thank you. I can't. I've already got it all over my fingers. It's such a mess. I'm about to lick it off my fingers in a minute.
For you.
Okay.
What do you reckon, Charlie?
Definitely the heat is better, but it's too much. I don't like these cookies. This is just like the chocolate chip I was talking about.
Too thick.
Too much
Yeah.
thick. I like them real thick and juicy. So give me that juicy double. Charlie's in trouble, looking for a piece of that bubble. No, this is too thick. And I don't like Nutella and Biscoff don't go well together. The biscuit's too much. Everything about this is too much. It's too extra, as the kids would say, Will. We're both chewing. That's why you're not hearing anything.
Heating it definitely, you've definitely got to heat it. I mean, I can't even imagine trying to eat that if it was just...
This is the kind of thing I can imagine myself not liking, but then 10 o'clock at night, bit of medicine, what's in the fridge, I'll heat that up. And then before I've known, I've eaten the whole thing.
I'll just have a little bit with a spoon. Maybe if I put some ice cream on it.
I mean, where I bought this from was right next to one of those, off your trees. So I think there might be some kind of
crossover while you're here, mate.
Yeah.
Well, we call this shop While You're Here, mate.
Okay, I'm giving that like a C-.
Yeah, but it's like...
it feels mass-produced, too. It doesn't have that kind of bespoke bakery quality. It feels factory.
What I did really, I cheated a little bit, but I kind of... The base seemed to be the most interesting part of it to me. So I kind of ignored a bit of the icing heavy top and sort of went in on the base. This all sounds very sexual. It's not meant to be, but I think that was more rewarding because it at least had a crispiness to it. But
the biscuit on its own is quite good.
Doing it all together is just why?
Yeah.
Why? This is too much.
Yeah, and that's a C- from me.
I think what we're discovering in this process is that we don't like an overly
we like
complicated
simple.
cookie.
We like simple biscuit.
Yeah.
Simple biscuit.
That is like an analogy. There's a lesson to be learned in that.
There is.
But I will eat more of this when we're done.
All right.
Simp biscuit.
We didn't say it. It didn't come out
Simp
naturally.
biscuit.
It has been brought up in the past.
Simple biscuit. Simp biscuit.
Yeah, that's come up in the past. Yeah. Someone suggested that as an alternative name for this segment.
No, sorry, I was playing. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Thank you for listening again. Best way to support the show is still patreon.com/everyonerelax. Early episodes, full videos, exclusive live streams, lots of great stuff there for you to check out. Will.
I'm on tour, comedy.com.au, maybe in Montreal.
You might be in
not.
Montreal while this is happening.
Let's see.
And can we do another quick plug for the Cheerful Earful Podcast Fest? Get your tickets in the episode description. There's an ad playing at the start of the episode if you want to know all the details. Basically, October 5th, Stupid Odd Studios.
Melbourne live show, part of a cool festival. You can watch it online from anywhere in the world.
That's right. So that is TOFOP. I'm Charlie Clausen.
I'm Will Anderson.